wait, because yes, you can start.
Okay, so hi everyone. As you all know, I'm going to be the moderator for today's meeting, and as well as the presenter too. So let me introduce myself first. I am Saalima Khan, and I've been born and raised in India, and I am a research scholar. At the same time, I'm a doctoral candidate from Barkatullah University, Bhopal. Apart from that, I've got a thing for all things creative. I'm a practicing artist, and right now I'm exploring the genre of Islamic art as well as calligraphy. Apart from that, I'm a history buff too, because in the city which I'm born in is quite, what can I say, is known as the city of queens, as well as the city of lakes. So that city have a lot of cultural rich heritage, and apart from that, historical background and a very rich culture. So I've got a little bit of spark for history too. So today I am going to present to you a little bit of history and art talk. So let's begin. I'm going to discuss today about Illumination art, which is called Tehzip in Turkish. Okay, so can I share the screen? Okay, yeah, I can. I'm gonna begin with, yeah. Can you view my screen?
Yes, you are. You can.
Okay, so just a second. Okay, so as you can see, my topic is Tehzip, Islamic Illumination art. Okay, so illumination is derived from illuminare, a Latin word which means to light up and to brighten up all things light. Okay, so now Quran is known as the source of knowledge and is also a book which describes to us the perfect way of lifestyle. It illuminates our mind and soul with tons and tons of facts, as well as we all know that about 1400 years before it was revealed to us. So Quran is abound with tons and tons of scientific fact and humanitarianism, and it also tells us about interpersonal relationships. So it's a kind of a spiritual journey which lights up our intellect as well as our soul. So Islamic artists back in the era wanted to incorporate illumination in their works to make an experience of reading Quran as a spiritual journey towards light. So the art form which I'm going to talk to you about is an art form which requires great rigorous practicing skills, and it is even time consuming, so to speak, because it is a work of patience and discipline and persistence, and it is also a source of calmness and peacefulness for the artist. Now we'll look at it in the further slides. Why is it so? But let's first look at the etymology of Tehzip. So Tehzib is a word with lots and lots of synonyms and homonyms. Well, when I first heard the word Tehzip, I thought that it means civilization, because in my mother tongue, Urdu, it means being civilized or being educated. So the first my opinion of Tehzib was that it has to do something with civilizations or something. But when I researched a little bit, I came to know that it is a word derived from Arabic word, which means gilding. It is derived from the word zahab, which means gold, and at-tahzib in Arabic means gild. Gilding is the process of applying gold leaf or gold paint and then burnishing it. Tehzib is Tehzib, as I told you, that it has Persian roots too, and in the Urdu language, it means good culture and civilized. While in Turkish, Tehzib means illumination. So the process of illumination involves adding shine to the work of art. Okay, now let's look at the origins of Tehzib. It is very difficult to pinpoint where it had been originated actually, but it was a little from the east and a little from the west, in my opinion, because when we look at the caves of Bezeklik in the east side, Asian east side, we can say that the patterns which we look at, like in this one, you can say, so we can look at these patterns and derive from it that these are Munhani patterns, and they developed further, and now they are used in the coloring patterns in Tehzib, like what the technique of coloring is in Tehzib. Apart from that, the gold was not added in these patterns. It was probably in the era of Seljuks, when they started adding gold to manuscripts. And I think it has something to do with Catholic manuscripts, where they like in the Book of Hours and other books, they added gold in it. So I think they have taken a little bit from here and a little bit from there. Now moving on to the origins of this are attributed to late 14th century to 6th century, and cave murals of Bezeklik cave depict evidences of this. Okay. Now, in Iran, illuminated manuscripts originated during the time of Secession era. Persian Islamic illumination had been through different eras, and it reached its glory during the time of Safavids in the 10th and 11th century, I guess. So also there are traces of Persian miniature art, where there are Tehzib, as you can see in this picture, which was commissioned by Bey Sungur. Bey Sungur was the grandson of the ruler Timur, with Asian background, East Asian background. So in this picture, you can see there are traces of Tehzib all around this picture, and the mihrabs and the dome and the entrance gate is decorated with unique styles of illumination. So there are traces of illumination, and actually it did originate from Persian empires. So yeah, apart from that, Bey Sungur was known as the patron of arts and architecture, and this subsequently led to the opening of Herat School, where all the artists came together and started working on different pieces of artwork. As you know, that Persian miniature art had also been through different eras, like in Mughals and in Persian or Iranian empires. So Herat School was a place for all artists who would practice Islamic art with Tehzib and Persian miniatures. So artists from all over the Persian Afghanistan were brought here and they practiced and created masterpieces at that time, which we can find at different museums all across the world. Now that started the opening of different schools for arts, and it gained prominence in 1507. So from 15th century to 17th century, it lasted. And there were schools known as Nakash Khana in Persian and Nakash Hane in Turkish, which means, actually Nakash in Urdu means to engrave or to draw something, like tracing and transferring. It has something to do with that. So these places were like schools for artists. Now in this picture, you can see that this is a Nakash Khana, and Ottoman miniature painters are working here. Moving on to the history of Turkish illumination art. Now, in Turkey, illumination art came with after the Chaldiran War, we can say. It did came before that also, but at that time, after the victory of Yavuz Sultan Selim, the artists were brought from Tabriz, which was the center of arts at that time, then Iranian Empire and all those things. So they were brought to Istanbul and they started practicing there. Before that, Sultan Mehmed's son Bayezid II was also a patron of Western and Eastern culture, and especially Persian art, also poetry. So therefore, he encouraged Persian art really very much. So it started with Bayezid II actually, but after Chaldiran War, it became more prominent. Now, after Yavuz Sultan Selim, Sultan Mahmud or Sultan Mehmed I was also a huge supporter of arts and educations. During his reign, architecture and palace adornments were carried out. So Tehzip was not only limited to paper parchments or barats or farmans. It started its journey in the architectural realm too. So in the side, you can see the right side, there is a picture of Suleymaniye Jami, which was constructed by a very well-known architecture of that architect of that time, Mimar Sinan. And you can see the small, I mean, in this picture, it's really small, but you can make out that there were traces of Tehzip. And also here in the mihrab, you can see that there are engravings. So 16th century was the golden age for artistic and architectural developments. Basically, during the reign of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, it is known as one of the brightest period of Islamic illumination. A rich craftsmanship comes to the fore in illumination works, especially in Zahriye and Zerlevhe patterns. And the characteristics of this period was that a lot of gold and dark blue was used. So yeah, 16th century was known as the golden age, and it flourished during this era of Sultan of Magnificence. Now Muslims were crazy about beauty and luxury, so illuminated manuscripts were prized possessions. Some illuminated manuscripts took years and decades to be completed, and which made these manuscripts highly valuable, and the illuminators were rewarded with a lot of financial and material benefits by the kings and rich class. Illumination is regarded as the spirit of Islamic art, as it beautifies words and books to provide a spiritual journey to the reader. During the reign of Sultan Suleiman, there was a Tabriz artist known as Shah Kulu, and he was a prominent creator of unique style called Saz Yolu style. We'll get to know about it further, but to sum it up, he was inspired by Eastern mythological creatures, and as you can see in this painting, the dragon was the key feature of his art. So he created a style with stylized leaves, which had, which looked like dragons, which resembled dragons. And then there was a student who was known as Karamemi. He was also a court muralist, and his unique style went beyond classical rules of Tehzip. Tehzip was very constrict in creation, sticking to the traditions, but Karamemi created designs with colorful flowers, and he used a lot of different colors. Usually in Tehzip, a lot of natural pigments were used, greens and blue and gold, but he went on to use a lot of different colors. And then came the tulip era, which was from 1718 to 1730. Around this era, the Western influences, basically the French one, started taking over the Tehzip, and the French Rococo style was introduced. Now in this one, you can see that in the Topkapi Palace Museum, there is a fruit room of Sultan Ahmad III. In this kind of style, it was more realistic forms of painting of flowers and vases rather than the stylized flowers. So yeah, apart from that, this went for a while, and Tehzip kind of went downhill. So it was becoming a forgotten art until some of the artists took it upon them, and with their efforts, they created schools under the instruction of President Ataturk as well, and they started teaching Tehzip in Turkey. Well, as you can see that here are artifacts and antiques which are stylized and decorated with Islamic illumination art. So in this is a rehel, which is used to keep Quran while reading it. So it is like a stand, and this is a big bowl. I don't know why it was used, maybe for storing water or to perform ablution, something like that. So yeah, you can see that there are Islami and biomorphic patterns and Rumi and Hatay and Pench motifs in them, mainly Pench and Hatay motifs. And then this is a large Alhambra vase, which has like an influence of Rumi patterns. So yeah, you can see that the armors of animals as well were decorated. This one is like a medallion on the horse, and it seems like Rumi pattern. Apart from that, these are tile works from Topkapi Museum. These all are Rumi motifs. The back of this mirror also. The Rumi motifs were actually Asiatic Huns were creating animal motifs and they resemble birds. It was in the 4th century BC. After that, the Uyghur Turks in the 9th century started developing them. And then the Anatolian Seljuks in Islamic art, as it is believed majorly that figuratives are not included. So they combine those feathers of the animal and made a pattern like this. So you can see that it resembles feathers, somewhat kind of feathers. So yeah, Rumi, the word Rumi is taken from Rum, which is the 3rd shape for Asiatic Rome, Byzantium. Okay, so you can see there are other antiques too. This is a helmet armor. This is a kaftan of Osman II, believed to be of Osman II. So there are biomorphic patterns, spirals going on with rumis and hadais and bench motifs here. And this one has a beautiful, beautiful box with engravings with Rumi motifs. Now we'll move on to schools of Tehzip. There are different schools of Tehzip. The first one we'll learn about is Halkar, which is probably it. This kind is very famous. There are flowers and buds and leaves and stems included in this art form. Colors were usually different, and tips of the flowers and leaves are colored in gold. So it is not altogether colored in gold, but it is a little shading. So as you can see in this 3rd image, that the outline is colored. The pigmentation towards the outline is more rather than inside. And it involves the contouring too. The next art form that we are going to see is the Saz Yolu, which was developed by Shah Kulu in the 16th century. So this is a Persian, as well as, so to speak, the truth, it is actually inspired from the dragon and Far East art, so mythological art. So as you can see in this picture, it is very difficult to view it, but if you can see, there are there is a dragon wrapped around the saz leaves. Now if you look, this is the face of that dragon and this is the tail, and these are the saz yolu leaves, stylized leaves, so which are inspired by dragons. I know that Islamic art did not include figuratives, but a lot of artists did include figuratives. You can see in these styles there are different kinds of birds, and also this is a simurg, if you can see, phoenix. Mythological creatures were also included, very prominent at that time. So yeah, and the third school is the classical Tehzip. In this one, you can see that this is stylized with halkar and pench motifs. And there is gonjagol here and the cloud patterns. And then this is zenjurik. Zenjurik is used for borders, and I think it is Arabic inspired. In my language, zanjir means iron chain. So I think this is inspired from that. It looks like a chain, though overlapping one another. So yeah, another work of manuscript, which is classical Tehzib, is this one. Here you can see the Zerlevhe pattern, the borders, and how the manuscript is decorated beautifully with blue and gold. Like I said, the gold and blue were very prominently used. Another form is Rococo style, which came in the late 18th century. It was inspired by and influenced by European art and French Rococo styles. As you can see, there are baskets and vases. These are very prominent in Mughals too, but as I explored Mughal architecture, I saw that vases and baskets were prominent, but with more stylized forms of leaves and flowers. In these, the flowers and leaves are quite realistic. So there is no stylized element, only realistic ones, and rose are the prominent flowers. As you can see in this one, the rose and tulips above that. Yeah, this is French Rococo. Now moving on to motifs and patterns. So these are the motifs that are used in Tehzip. Halkar is, as you know, we studied about this school of Tehzip, and it is basically shading of gold and then contouring it with darker pigments or black pigment. And then this is Hatay motifs. Hatay motifs are stylized flowers, and it includes lots and lots of petals. I think these are inspired by flowers which have lots and lots of petals like roses and others. And then we move on to Munhani pattern, which is not very prominent in Tehzib, but I believe that because it has been an inspiration and it has originated from these flowers. So as you can see, further, we'll look at pieces of artworks, or you can see, yeah, this one. Okay, you can see the coloring pattern is similar like Munhani. There is a darker and then a little less darker and then lighter shades. And in this one bench, you can see the lighter shades and then a little darker and the darkest in the between. So I think the coloring pattern is inspired by these, of course. And then we know about Rumi motifs. Bench is does kind of starring role, and it is the central flower. Bench is also, again, my mother tongue. So bench in my mother tongue means 5. Usually it is a flower with 5 petals, but it is not necessarily, I mean, it does not necessarily include only 5. There can be more petals too. Now this here is Gonjagul. Gonjagul is the bud, the small bud, like a supporting role in the spirals, and all those spirals, including leaves and Hatay and bench motifs. At the end of them comes the Gonjagul, a little bud. And then there is Yaprak. Yaprak means leaves in Turkish. And we saw the stylized leaf before, the Saziolu patterns. And we come to Bulut. Bulut means clouds. And again, this is inspired by Asian art forms. There are lots and lots of instances and cave murals and paintings in which we can see olden times in which we can spot Bulut. And then this is the which is needlepoint. So this is a very intricate work. So that's what I was talking about. It is very intricate work and it requires time because it needs perfection. So the journey is altogether very thrilling. Now this last motif is Chintamani. Is not very prominent, but it was used in Islamic styles and royal clothing, again inspired by Asian art from China. And the 3 circles depict the strength, power, and sovereignty. Now, we can see the three kinds of styles of Tehzip. In this one, this is a style, Awaz with Baba Nakash style. Baba Nakash motifs are usually were round in shapes. So as you can see, these are not pointed, but round in shapes. And then the design of Tobra, in which the flowers of Karamemi motifs are incorporated. And you can see the use of bright colors, orange, pink, blue. Pink and blue was prominent, but orange was not so prominent in flowers. So kind of he introduced these brighter colors. And the third one is Sazyolu. Again, you can see these two dragons in this foliage with a lions. And apart from that, in this kind of art, the mythological beasts were there, and also the tigers and birds played an important role in Persian miniature. So yeah, there were a lot of animals too. Now we come on to the materials used. Shell gold is a gold color which is used in illuminating manuscripts, but it is a very long process. Shell gold is made out of thin gold foils, and using thin gold foils and gum arabic, and it is a very, very long process. You have to rub that foil and mix into the gum arabic until it looks like this. There are 2 or 3 different ways of preparing shell gold, I guess. And then we come on to miniature brushes. It is kind of an intricate artwork. So the brushes that are used are below size 0. So yeah, and then this is an important part, agate burnisher, which is used to make the gold shine by rubbing it on the surface. But after applying it, it makes the gold shine. The paper used is stained or sometimes treated with starch, because in older times they used parchments and very high quality papers, but nowadays they use paper which is very natural and does not include synthetic and acidic elements. For traditional tehzeeb, they used natural pigments. As you can see in this picture, this is lapis lazuli. These stones were crushed into powder and then they used to make paint. Malachite was also kind of green kind of natural pigment, which was prominent at that time. Nowadays, people use gouache colors or poster colors too, as per their convenience. Tracing paper is an important part. While transferring, you need a tracing paper. Fine liner pens and ruling pens are also very important to outline the borders or making lines with perfection. Now this is the process. As you can see, the first one is a design by Naqsh Nigar Mahdavi, and this is how a flower is designed. She's showing it in the picture. Apart from that, the first part of the process is designing. The second part is tracing and transferring it on the paper, and the third part is applying gold. The gold is applied first on the paper, and then by the way, this is a design by Hatice Kahraman. She is a muzahib and a beautiful, beautiful illuminator. Her work is just amazing. You can check out her Instagram. And the fourth process is burnishing the gold. Now, this is how we use an agate burnisher. And as you can see in this picture, how the gold starts shining. The fifth part of the process is coloring, and then comes contouring. Now, contouring means outlining, and usually black or dark brown color pigments are used to outline. Moving on to the utility and where this kind of art form is seen is the most prominent one is Quran, and this is a work by Osman Nazifi, dated to 1268 Hijri year, and you can see how this Quran is illuminated here. Also, the front pieces of Quran were also designed. This is known as a shamsa in Arabic, and in English it means sun. So it did have a metaphorical meaning, the light radiating from the sun. So that's why this kind of motif is used. And regarding the gold was used in Tehzip because it is rich and it doesn't burn or dissolve, and it lasts longer. It's used very prominently in these. And then moving on to Hilya. Hilya is classically described Siratun Nabi, which is the physical attributes of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this is Hilya Sharif by Mehmet Khurshid, dated to 1873. Now, another form of utility was Farman, and it became prominent during the kings and sultans, and Farman was kind of an edict, and the illuminator used to decorate the edicts in this. In this, you can also see the signature or the seal of the king. This is the Farman of Sultan Selim III. Now, moving on to another utilities, Togra. Togra is known as the official seal of the sultans. So the official seals of the sultans were also decorated in the Tehzip. You can see the spiral patterns and flowers in this one. And this is the Togra of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. Now, Tehzip was also used in miniature paintings. And in this miniature painting, you can see Abu Hassan Saadi presenting a book of his poems in 1615. This is at exhibit at Walters Art Museum in Baltimore. And at the borders of it, you can see the Halkar pattern. It is one of my first creations, and I've written the first surah of Quran in this one. These are the sources and credits, and thank you for watching and listening to me.
Thank you, ma'am. It's amazing.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Saalima. Congratulations. It was a really academic presentation. I really learned so many things. Actually, I have been engaged with such topics, actually. I mean, it's very interesting that you started with the Tehzib. I mean, Tehzib is very, as you said, it's a civilization. Actually, it's an achievement actually of humanity that, you know,
Exactly.
Exactly. And how this whole art and architects has been actually vernacularized. Actually, I have been using that term actually, because this arts and architect was very limited, very constrained, but it was by the Muslim scholars or Muslims. But I see Islam as a civilization. So I see from the civilization perspective. So Muslims actually work further to in whole process of civilization actually. So they develop this whole process of civilization through art and architect designs. The Tehzip that you have mentioned in this actually encompasses all this, the achievement of humanity. It was a very nice presentation actually. I am very much I learned so many things, that you actually I'm living in Istanbul, and you have picked up the whole calligraphy and arts from Istanbul. So now I am very excited to go back again to revisit actually wherever I have been so far. It was quite interesting and very helpful to me also. I'm sure that some of the students here are now will ask.
Takes you back to the era. I visited Jaipur a little while before, and I was mesmerized by the architecture. So yeah, the techniques were amazing.
Exactly. Even the what was his name? I have forgotten the name of this. In the South India, there was a who Richard Dickens always mentions. Many of the even in India, many of the king or the Hindu kings even they adopted the Islamic arts actually.
Yeah, the Amer Palace is full of Mughal the Islamic art. When I visited it, there was a portion of temple, of course, the art that we have here in the south, but the whole of it was mind blowing. The Amer Palace was decorated with such beautiful adornments, and the local guide told me that they used to bury the vegetables and oxidize them for days and then create colors out of them. So it was a long process to manage all those things.
Exactly, and also this was a mixture actually. If you see this arts, even in Ottoman time, they adopted the arts from the Byzantine also. Like for example, some of the mythology that you have mentioned, the phoenix, and then they have not left actually. Actually they developed, they worked on that actually.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
even the Fatih Sultan Mehmed, when we conquered the Istanbul, he didn't destroy the literature of Byzantine. Even you mentioned that Rococo and then the Baroque style, they adopted all these things. So they walked
and apart from that, the gold also. I think that the gold that was used was not influenced from Asian East art, the Buddhist art, so to speak, but it was inspired from Catholics, I think, because they have Book of Hours and it is illuminated in gold, and there are miniatures too. So yeah, it was influenced from all over the world.
Exactly. So I'm sure. So any of you have any question would like to say to Saalima?
Thank you everyone for the kind comments.
So my friends, if you don't have any questions, see, this is how you are going to learn from this culture program. We organize this culture program to benefit you. I mean, you learn so many things from this platform. it's a great opportunity that Umran is doing. You know, the way Umran has designed everything is very thoughtful. Okay, it has been designed in a way of civilization. You know, we are still in a process of civilization. Actually, we need to achieve more and more because as you see that we all are in need of Tehzip, and I mean you are many of you are coming from village, and then there is no development in the village. What is the actually meaning of civilization is that Tehzip or adab, like, you know, to develop and to live, to improve our living style or living communication and living standard. Okay, these are the achievement of when we talk about civilization. So it will come through only interaction, knowledge, you know, communication, and that is the beauty of this platform, that it provides you a whole set of culture or civilization through language and interaction. So I am very hopeful about you that you will get a lot of things from this platform. Once again, yeah, I mean, you will get the video recording. It has been recorded. You will get the video on YouTube. So please follow our YouTube channel. Please do follow our YouTube channel. I have shared the you know, many times I shared the links in the groups. Please do follow. That will also help Umran. Okay, my friends, as I said to you, that this platform is not being funded by anyone. We all are working here voluntary. Please do understand this. Cooperate with us, you know, to sustain this platform. That you, because of this platform, you are getting benefit. You will not get benefit from like, you know, on this anywhere like this. So we are working very hard, you know, day and night, you know, organizing exams, organizing this talk. Some of them are preparing their presentation, nice presentation. So please do recognize this and support this, and talk to your friends also to get benefit from this platform. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please let us know. Else we will see you again. Shamsa Khatun, you have question? So, okay, so thank you very much once again, all of you, for joining the meeting. Thank you very much, Saalima. It was a beautiful presentation. See you again. By the way, Saalima is our English teacher also at Umran. So those who are learning English will get a lot of benefit from Saalima. So thank you very much, Saalima and Futun Abla, for coordinating the program. See you again. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Sabah khair.
Thanks, Saalima. It was great presentation, academic presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.